what is motor oil, where does it come from, what's the difference between synthetic and conventional, and who really cares? Today we're going to talk about all that stuff. Welcome to Ventre Synthetic Lubricants. Oil is kind of my thing, and so today we're going to talk a little bit about it. Some scientists believe that the oil that we use today came from many years ago. Fish and plants and whatever in the ocean, they die, they fall to the bottom, they get covered up by mud and dirt and whatever, so that they can't be consumed by other fish and animals. And then the pressure of being under the ocean and all that stuff on top, combined with the heat from the core of the earth, combined with many years, and voila, you get oil. At least the crude oil that we have, that we drill for. So then we drill into the earth and we pump out the crude oil. I'm sure you've all seen crude oil. It looks like mud. It comes out. It can be brown, black, green, red, various different consistencies, various different compositions, tons of impurities and everything in there. Then it starts to go through the refining process. So it gets refined all the way from tar, all the way up to gasoline, propane, things like that. All kinds of products made out of it, plastics, rubbers, tons of different things made out of oil. What does motor oil do? Motor oil serves two purposes. The first one being lubrication. It provides a film between the moving parts of the engine so that they don't wear on each other and thereby wear them out. So it's very important that you have the correct viscosity. Viscosity is the rate at which it flows. We'll talk about that in a different video because that's a whole other topic. But the engine is designed with very specific clearances between all the moving parts so that a very specific oil will be able to lubricate that. You make that tolerance bigger, everything gets sloppier, things move around, they bang against each other, wear out. You make that tolerance too tight, oil can't get in there, and then they'll eventually wear each other out. So that's the first purpose, lubrication. The second purpose is cooling. Various engines are designed in different ways, but some engines will spray oil on the bottom side of the pistons in order to take the heat off the piston. It goes back through the oiling system, gets cooled off, and then pumped back into the engine. So that's the second purpose, is to keep the engine cool. The more oil you have, the more cooling power you have. What's the difference? All right, conventional oil. We talked about the tar up to gasoline and propane, the refining rate. The conventional oil is somewhere in here, okay? It comes out, they refine it. Basically, they're filtering it out for what it can be used for. The thicker stuff goes to something else, the thinner stuff goes to something else, and then you've got your conventional oil. Then they sort it into the various different weights of oil. And so the product that you're getting is a fairly consistent molecule, but it has not been engineered to be a uniform molecule. You get what you get, okay? Then they take it and they add their additives package, they bottle it, and they sell it to you. So the benefit of conventional oil is that it's cheap, and that's where the benefits end. The drawbacks are that because you have varying different molecules in there, you get shearing. Shearing is when your moving parts provide so much pressure that it breaks the oil down. It's susceptible to heat and oxidation, things like that. So what happens is when you run conventional oil, it begins to break down, it begins to boil off, things like this. So what that creates is sludge in your engine, and then as the oil burns off and evaporates, your viscosity goes up, meaning your oil gets thicker. Well, when it gets thicker, it can't pass through those passages that it needs to pass through, so it can't get to everywhere that it needs to get, especially when it's cold. Cold oil is obviously thicker, and so on startup in the middle of winter, that oil is not going to be able to pump through the system and get to everywhere that it needs to go. This also, when it breaks down, the lubricity of the oil wears out, and so now it's not providing that protection layer between the moving parts, and so that's where you get wear. So what is a synthetic oil? A synthetic oil on that scale that we had of refining rate is going to be a little bit higher than your conventional oil. So then some scientists in some white coats that are going to do things that my brain can't comprehend are going to take it, and at a molecular level they're going to restructure it so that all the molecules are the same. This is going to provide uniformity. Also, the different components are going to be bonded at a molecular level. This is going to keep from the oil breaking down into its various different components, wearing out, things like that are going to happen with conventional oil. So what does this mean? This uniformity means that we're going to be able to run extended drain intervals because it's not going to break down. It's going to mean we're going to get better lubricity, more consistent. It's going to be the same every time. It's also when you run a synthetic oil for a longer drain interval, the base oil doesn't break down. It's actually the additives that wear out, and that's why we can do things like oil analysis, where we send a sample in and they test it, and then they send you the report, and they tell you what additives you need to put back in because the base oil didn't break down. So that's the difference. That better lubricity is going to give better fuel mileage and more power. The reason for this is because the less power that's spent moving these parts, then the more power gets to the wheels. Okay, when you have less lubrication with a conventional oil, there's more resistance, and therefore it takes the engine more power to turn itself, and thereby makes it to the wheels, thereby less fuel mileage as well. So after the scientists have refined this base stock into this uniform molecular structure, then they take it, they add their additives package, which is just like your conventional oil, and then you get your additives in there. Those are going to be rust inhibitors and anti-foam, all kinds of different things based off of what kind of oil you're getting, and then they bottle it and sell it. The only drawback for synthetic oil is that the purchase price, the initial purchase price, is going to be higher. But we can offset that because we're going to have extended drain intervals. Less oil changes, less oil to buy. We're going to get better fuel mileage, like I talked about with the lubricity. The engine does less work to power the wheels. You're going to get better fuel mileage. Also, your equipment is going to run longer, and this one is a long term that we may not see or we may not think about. But with that engine running a better lubricant, you get less wear, and that engine or equipment, whatever it may be, in this case we're talking about car engines, it's going to run longer. So less time until you have to buy a new car because it broke down. The other benefit of synthetics is that it's more environmentally friendly. We're going to change our oil less often, so we're going to send less oil to the recyclers. Also, the oil's not going to break down and burn up and then be emitted into the atmosphere. That's your PCV valve clog up. That's probably because you're running conventional oil. It's breaking down and clogging up that system. So it is better for the environment. This way we're using less oil. There's only a limited supply. If you'd like some more information on switching to synthetics, check out my website. It's linked in the description. It's got information on how to contact me. I can answer any questions you have, and I can get you application-specific stuff, information, prices, things like that. And we can get you switched over if you'd like. Let me know if you guys like this style video. If you got any other questions you want answered, list them in the comments and we'll make a video about it. If you like the video, click like and subscribe and share it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.